Can Professor Snape's potions puzzle from Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone be solved using just the information that was available to Harry and Hermione when they solved the riddle? In this video, I'm going to prove that it can be. And then in the second half of the video, I'm going to show you how you can get all of the information that you need to set up the bottles so that you're in the same position as Harry and Hermione to solve that riddle. This comes off of the back of a recent post that I put onto social media suggesting a way to solve this, and it was met with some divisive opinions. Some people believing that it can't be solved, there just isn't enough information in the book. Some people saying that they solved it in a very similar way when they read the book the first time. And even the official or semi-official versions that are available on Wiki and Fandom and places like that state that more information is available or is needed to complete these riddles. Now, in this video, I'm going to prove that it can be done, and then we're going to go through and I'm going to show you how. So what am I talking about first of all? So if you've only seen the films or it's been a while since you read the books, you might need to be refreshed. When Harry, Hermione and Ron go through the trapdoor past Fluffy into the chambers looking for the stone, they are faced with various obstacles set up by the professors, from Professor Sprout's Devil's Snare to McGonagall's chess set where Ron is taken out of the equation, Dumbledore's mirror, Flitwick's keys, and so on. However, there are two challenges that are missing from the films that are available in the books. One of them is Quirrell's troll, which is knocked out by the time that Harry and Hermione get there. And the other one is Snape's potions puzzle, which is one of my favourite parts of the book. So it was a shame that it was left out of the films. Hopefully with the new series coming out in 2026, they're able to remedy that and include this in detail. So what is the challenge then? So Harry and Hermione enter the room, fire covers their exit, another fire covers their way forward, and they have to solve the riddle to get through. This is all of the information that they are given. They have a table with 7 potion bottles and this riddle. Danger lies before you, while safety lies behind. 2 of us will help you, whichever you would find. 1 among us 7 will let you move ahead, another will transport the drinker back instead. 2 among our number hold only nettle wine. 3 of us are killers, waiting hidden in line. Choose unless you wish to stay here forevermore. To help you in your choice, we give you these clues 4. First, however slyly the poison tries to hide, you will always find some on nettle wine's left side. Second, different are those who stand at either end, but if you would move onward, neither is your friend. Third, as you see clearly, all are different sized. Neither dwarf nor giant hold death in their insides. Fourth, the second left and the second on the right are twins once you taste them, though different at first sight. So let's start to unpack that then. So the first part of the riddle tells us that there are 4 possible things these potions can be. 1 of them is forward, 1 of them is back, 2 of them are nettle wine, and 3 of them are poisons hidden in line. So we now know what we're looking for, but at this point we still don't know where they are or what they can be. So we've created this kind of Schrodinger's potion, if you like, where every bottle could potentially be one of those 4 options, and then we're going to start removing options as we solve the clues. So the first clue is, first, however slyly the poison tries to hide, you will always find some on nettle wine's left side. Not particularly useful yet because we don't know where the nettle wine is. Second, different are those who stand at either end, but if you would move onward, neither is your friend. So that's essentially telling us that the potions on either end of this spectrum of potions need to be different, and neither can be forward. So we can start to remove a few options. We can take away forward from those end potions. The next clue is, thirdly, as you see clearly, all a different size. Neither dwarf nor giant holds death in their insides. So neither the largest or smallest bottle can hold poison. So we can get rid of those options now. And the fourth clue is fourth, the second left and the second on the right are twins once you taste them, though different at first sight. So with that information, we know that as the giant can't be poison and it's twinned with the second bottle, it has to be nettle wine because it's only poison and nettle wine that have more than one and are even able to be twinned. So because of that assumption, because we now know where nettle wine is, we now know that the two bottles to the left-hand side of those bottles, so bottles 1 and bottles 5, have to be poison. So we can add that to our understanding. And we've now solved 4 of the bottles with 3 left to solve. So it goes poison, nettle wine, question mark over the next 2, poison, nettle wine, question mark over the last one. And we have 3 bottles left to find. We've got poison, back, and forward. Now, if you remember from our riddle, different are those who stand at either end. So the bottle furthest right can't be poison because the first bottle is poison. And if you would move forward, neither is your friend. So it can't be forward either. So the 7th bottle has to be back. It's the only one that fits. So now we're left with 2 bottles and 2 to decide. As we also know from our riddle, neither dwarf nor giant holds death in their insides. So that smallest bottle can't be poison and therefore has to be forwards, leaving us with 1 bottle, which is the middle one, which we can designate to our last remaining poison. And there you go, we've solved the riddle. We can see that the smallest bottle is forward, the round bottle on the right-hand side is back, and the other bottles are either nettle wine or poison. So if it's so doable, why is there so much controversy over whether or not this riddle can be solved? Well, the Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone book did not include any pictures. So how do we know what the bottles look like? How do we know what order they're supposed to be in to even try and attempt to solve this riddle in the first place? I'm going to show you. So the question gets asked as soon as we show the solution, but how do we know where the bottles go if we're never given a picture? And the answer is, even though the picture is not included, there are descriptions of the bottles. 3 bottles are described, and the other 4 we know a little bit about them. So here is the other information that is included that might be relevant to trying to solve this, that isn't necessarily in the riddle. As we're just trying to designate where the bottles go now, as opposed to solve the riddle, we can use all of the other information. We've already proved it can be solved. So just a table with 7 differently shaped bottles standing in a line. So now we know there's 7. Neither dwarf nor giant holds death in their insides. So we know that there's a bottle that's bigger than the other ones, and there's a bottle that's smaller than the other ones. When Harry asks Hermione which one allows you to go back, Hermione pointed at a rounded bottle at the right end of the line. So we know that the roundest bottle is at the right-hand side of the line, and we also know what's in there. And we also know that the smallest bottle will get us through the black fire toward the stone. We know that from the conversation Harry and Hermione have together in Through the Trapdoor. So we know that there's the smallest bottle that contains the way forward. We know that there's a roundish bottle that contains the way back. We also know where that is. It's on the right-hand side. And we know that there's a larger bottle than the other ones, though at this point we still don't know what's in it. So if you are trying to organise 7 bottles in a line, there are 5,040 possible variations for those 7 objects on the table. We obviously need to try and narrow that down as much as possible in order to get them in the right order so that we can even attempt this riddle. So the first thing to bear in mind that we know exactly what's in the described bottle. We know they're back, forward. We know that it must be nettle wine because it says in the riddle, neither dwarf nor giant holds death in their insides, which means it can't be poison, and nettle wine's the only other thing that it can be. We still don't know where it is. And not described is 4 other bottles, so they can be any design really, as long as they're not the tallest, they're not the smallest, and they're not the roundest. When we're looking at these options then, there is one thing that we already know. We know that the roundish bottle is on the right hand side as far as it can be, and we know that that's the way back. So when we're looking at organizing the other bottles, we can exclude that. We already know where it is. We already know what it does. So now we've got 6 bottles to organize, and our odds are getting slightly better at being able to organize that. But there are other clues as well. Remember that we know that nettle wine always has poison to its left side. So now we can pair 4 of these bottles up into 2, nettle wine poison, nettle wine poison. And again, that increases our odds. So now we are rearranging 4 elements instead of 7, and our possible variations drop from 5,040 right down to 24 possible variations. Now, we can map those out and we can have a look at how all of those are different. And then we can narrow it down even further by checking it against our qualifying factors. So, of those 24, there are only 4 that stand up to these clues. Different are those who stand at either end, but if you would move onward, neither is your friend. So the ends have to be different and they can't be forward. And the second left and the second on the right have to be the same thing. There's only 4 that match up to that. And that's these 4 here. So if we take a closer look at them, we can see that if we went through the clues of the riddle, all 4 of these stand up to the scrutiny. So however slyly the poison tries to hide, you'll find it on nettle wine's left side. All 4 of these have poison on the left side of nettle wine. Second, different are those who stand at either end, but if you would move onward, neither is your friend. All of these have a different potion on the end, and none of them are forward. Third, as you see clearly, all are a different size, but neither dwarf nor giant holds death in their insides. In every example, the smallest bottle is forward and the largest bottle is nettle wine. There's no poison in either of them. And fourth, the second left and the second on the right are twins once you taste them, though different at first sight. And you can see that that is the case. The second and the 6th bottle in all 4 of these sequences is a twin and is nettle wine. So you can see there are 4 possible right answers out of a possible 5,040, and we are able to glean those 4 answers just from the information that we've been given in Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. Now, I've already posted something very similar to this, and some people agreed, some people just couldn't see how we got to the solution. Hopefully this is a lot clearer, but here are some of the frequent questions and disputes. How do we know that the giant is a nettle wine? Because from Harry and Hermione's conversation, we already know what the roundish bottle is back, and we already know that the smallest bottle is forward. The only other thing apart from poison that can have a pair is nettle wine, and the giant can't contain poison. We're told that in the riddle. Neither dwarf nor giant holds death in their insides. Just by a process of elimination, the larger bottle has to be nettle wine. The next question is, how do we know the giant is a twin? I.e., it should be placed at 2 or 6. Well, we know that from going through the 24 possible variations of the answer that it could be and then standing it up to the scrutiny. There's just no order where the poisons can be in place for 2 and 6 where the rest of it works. So it's just by a process of elimination. We know it's nettle wine, which means the other one has to be. And it's the only one where the rest of it matches up. So if you look in this example, this is one of the other 24 options. You can see that the bottle that takes you forward is in first, which again doesn't make any sense. It's not allowed to be there because of the riddle clues. There's no possible way for the twins to be anything other than nettle wine. How can it be solved if 4 of the bottles aren't described? Well, the 3 bottles that matter are described, and actually the other options can look like absolutely anything because we've found out what's inside them by a process of elimination. So try not to get caught up on the 4 undescribed bottles. As long as they're bigger than the smallest, smaller than the largest, and not the roundish bottle, the riddle works. So all of the information that you need is in Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. And there's no need for any other external information.